Thank you again for joining our IntegraLink webinar presentation. We're really excited to have you with us today. I'm going to start us off and share a little bit about Willbros, our legacy in the industry that many of you know us for today. Then I'll turn it over to our Google partner, Chris Sierra, to introduce some key components of Google and the exciting solutions they are providing and that we are working on together as partners in the pipeline industry. I'll then introduce our IntegraLink solution. Then we'll hear from Colby Smith to provide a demonstration of IntegraLink. We'll then wrap up our presentation and take your questions. Let me share a little bit about our Willbros history. We were founded in 1908. That's over 100 years of providing innovative solutions to the pipeline industry. From crossing the Mississippi for the first time in the late 1920s to constructing the Trans-Andean pipeline through the jungles of Colombia in 1968. We take pride in our tagline, a good job, on time, done right. Early examples of this are completing a 100-mile-long pipeline in Venezuela in 90 days. We know how pipelines should be designed, engineered, and built. That's where we come from. So who are we today? We are still a full-service provider of engineering, procurement, construction, and operation and maintenance services. But we're continuing our legacy as pioneers in the industry. We are a company of firsts. Employees of Willbros were the first to develop a pipeline data model, the first to develop automated alignment sheet generation, and we are the first partner of Google in the pipeline industry. This is exciting. Our rich history, knowledge, and the use of industry-leading technology make us who we are today. Let's turn it over to Chris Sierra. He's going to tell you more about Google and the Willbros partnership.
As mentioned, my name is Chris here. I'm part of Google's sales engineering team. It's my role within Google to make sure we have our enterprise partners and our customers have the best deep technical understanding that they can of how Google's geo products work and how they function. So I'm sure, as many of you know, Google started out as a consumer-based company. And what we've seen over the last 15 years or so is a real shift in the dynamic of how people engage and interact with technology. Originally, technology was sort of developed more at the the government level, and it trickled down into the enterprise, and then eventually made its way into our homes and as a consumer product. Now that paradigm is completely inverted. We have technology that we use as individuals at an individual level, smartphones, for example, or some of the web services that we use that make our life simpler and easier and more enjoyable. And we want to take and bring those into the enterprise, and then eventually those come back to being in the government space as well. So what we've really come to understand is people really want to be able to kind of work the way they live. I'm sorry, let me get back to, okay. Yeah. So people really want to be able to work the way they live, and the way they do that is through a number of different applications and processes. So Google really tries to create innovative solutions around four main focus areas, and I think Geo really kind of fits this mold more so than many of our other ones. So we look to try to make better business decisions. What information can we share out and use that help us find where our resources should be and how we can optimize that as a better solution. How do we optimize our people and our assets? Are they in the right places? Do we have assets where they need to be in emergency situations, those sorts of things? How do we better engage with our users? We see that all the time through Google Maps. So essentially bringing in transit information, biking route information, those sorts of things to really engage with users' interest in how they want to kind of interact with the world around them. And then finally on building out amazing applications and being able to really leverage that within the organization. So Google as a platform has a number of different tools in order to meet those four focus areas. Google Apps, I'm sure as many of you are familiar with, is Google Docs and those sorts of things. So people use that within the home just to collaborate on their kids' soccer game, who's bringing snacks that weekend, that sort of thing. Google Geo, which is what we'll talk about here in a bit. Google Platform, which leverages the cloud, as Google's cloud as a platform for building out and deploying applications at scale. And we'll talk about scale here in just a little bit too. Search. So the same search you would use at your house, but maybe in the enterprise where you're looking to find documents or information within your own closed network. And finally, Chrome as a low-cost alternative to deploying out multiple expensive laptops to the enterprise. Um, and the way we meet this is through dynamic and familiar user interfaces that people are very accustomed to, and across multiple platforms, from everything from the desktop to tablets to a mobile device like a cell phone, and be able to leverage that same information across the platforms that people are familiar with, the devices they like to use. And we talked about to talk about scale just a little bit. So Google today serves over 20 billion pages per day. We're sufficing over 100 billion searches per month, and we have 425 plus million users on Gmail. And the other stat here we have is around YouTube. So this number is actually got an update on this number just a little while ago, and actually we're at over over 100 hours per minute of video uploaded to YouTube. So another way to kind of think of that at scale is that's essentially people are uploading almost 2 hours of video per second every second of the day, which is just a staggering amount of information to transfer across a network. And we do all this with a high level of security. So multi-level security that's role-based access, SSL encryption across the data transfers, and two-factor authentication. So and all of those components are leveraged even within your own personal Gmail account. So if you don't already have two-factor authentication turned on for your own Gmail, highly encourage you to go take a look at it. It's a great way to secure down your email applications. And so Google Maps for Business is the geo component of how we bring these offerings to the enterprise. Um, and the way we approach this is essentially it's a layered technique. So at the very base is the Google base map. So the map you're familiar with if you go to maps.google.com. And then from there we add on additional sets of data. This could be third-party data that you've accessed or purchased through another provider. It could be pods data. It could be your own imagery that you're flying. It could be pipeline assets, as we'll talk about here in a little bit. And all of those are leveraged and accessed either through a user interface or through an API, and then within your own application stack. And so the power of how this all comes together is really through this architecture that Google's built. The root of that architecture is obviously the Google Cloud Platform. So leveraging that same infrastructure that powers Gmail and YouTube and all these other Google services within the enterprise. And then on top of that platform, we start adding other services. So Maps Engine, which is our purpose-built geospatial platform that allows you to host and serve geospatial data through the cloud. And then other aspects as well, such as the Google Maps API that gives you the ability to display that information visually through an interface or do geocoding and those sorts of things. So essentially, Google's built a lot of building blocks, if you will, that really can be put together in multiple different use cases. But it's the power of how those components are put together and how they're leveraged that really make the difference, that really actually drive the power of using these APIs and using this platform. And that's where IntegraLink really comes in. And so with that, I will pass it back over to April, hopefully, who's back online.
Thanks, Chris. How are we transforming the pipeline industry? We are leveraging the Google environment to provide you capabilities that allow scalability and accessibility in a well-understood, easy-to-use interface. These are a few of the components in the pipeline lifecycle, and these are the things you all encounter every day in your pipeline operations. The Google GeoStack Chris just introduced to you, and that we are building upon and are purpose-built to support these activities, and we are focusing on making these processes better so that you can operate more efficiently, safely, and increase your profitability. You have a lot of people in the field, and you're generating a lot of data. The need to make sense of this data in a timely manner is critical to your operations. Leveraging a scalable, accessible, and flexible environment like Google only makes sense. IntegraLink is a simple yet powerful tool that allows you to view and analyze your enterprise geospatial data. IntegraLink allows you to know sooner because it connects the field to the office, enabling a reliable, efficient field data collection. This lets you do things like upload data captured on forms redlining ability so you can post comments to anything requiring change, and you're doing this all on familiar devices such as tablets, smartphones, and laptops. IntegraLink gives you the ability to plan smarter, so you can confidently validate at-risk locations like high consequence areas faster and with confidence. IntegraLink allows you to engage faster. It's given you visibility to verifiable, traceable, and complete records. It promotes regulatory compliance by enabling visibility to verifiable, traceable, and complete records. IntegraLink provides access to the information you need when you need it. This is as simple as logging onto your web portal and literally your data, the data you need to make important decisions, is at your fingertips. View data, reports, and location information on your assets, schedule and document regulatory compliance checks through a workflow management system, gather critical as-built pipeline data to connect the field to the office to maintain your GIS. IntegraLink allows you a mechanism to collect data that you do not currently possess or trust. We all know that data that is not validated does you no good. Willbros can help you collect, build, and execute your system to support compliance through field data collection, data analysis, MAOP data validation, and allows you to view this validated data in an easy-to-use interface like Google. So what we are offering with IntegraLink are processes wrapped in easy-to-use, easy-to-understand, industry-leading technology. IntegraLink technologies can easily integrate with your existing processes and provide technology to create new and better processes that can be executed by you internally or by someone like Willbros. It's important to understand that IntegraLink can provide a mechanism to support processes in a myriad of ways: as-builting, data validation, verification, in-field data capture, integrity processes, in-ditch activities. In fact, IntegraLink is also used as a visualization tool to support new construction activities. Now Colby is going to show you an example of IntegraLink and show you how easy it is and how it works.
I've gone ahead and navigated here to the IntegraLink landing page. You can see it's just an initial map at this point at pipelinecloud.com. And essentially all it is at this point is Google Maps. The first step I'm going to take through our demonstration here is to just go ahead and log into the application. So I'm going to click the login link here. You'll notice in the upper right that my credentials have already been cached in my browsers. I can certainly set that up for no caching as well. And I'm just going to click the accept link. It's important to understand that what we're doing here is actually performing the authentication and authorization through Google services, but authenticating people to use our application. So when I click accept here, essentially what I've done is the same thing that happens when we go to something like Yahoo, but log in with our Google account or with our Facebook account. It's a concept called OpenID. So here I am now on our IntegraLink homepage, and you can see that the page has changed a little bit and some additional data has been added. The first thing I'm going to do is perform a search, and I'm just going to search for something like Cheyenne. And when I type in that search term, the search results will return here. And first of all, you'll notice in the upper section of the search results that it's actually returned results from Google's Places API. So this gives me the ability to type in city names, business locations, even addresses and coordinates as well, and then have the map navigated to those locations. Let's go ahead and navigate here to Cheyenne. So now I've navigated to Cheyenne, and you can see that we're just using Google Maps essentially at this point, and I can switch between the map view and the satellite view, and I can also begin to zoom in on the map. I can even click places on the map, and I can see the information, the exact same information that you get when you go to maps.google.com. So then I can click on an external link, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Cheyenne Frontier Days Rodeo, but it's a great rodeo. Back to IntegraLink here, I can also then have access not only to that information that Google provides me, but also information within my own internal GIS. So if I reopen my search results here and come down and zoom to, for example, the extent of this particular MAOP record, now what we see is actually pipeline GIS information, but on that exact same Google map. So we're looking both at Google information, and we're all very familiar with how we use that information every day in our personal lives. But now we're also being allowed to use that same mapping interface, that same thing that we're familiar with, but in our professional lives, giving us access to that pipeline GIS information. Let's talk for a second about actually what's going on here as far as data is concerned. First of all, the first key component that we're using here is a product from Google called Google Maps for Business. Essentially, this gives us the base map information that we're seeing, both the road map and the satellite imagery, and then also it's giving us the ability to present additional information and functionality on top of that base map. Second key component is a product from Google called Google Maps Engine. Google Maps Engine is essentially Google's GIS in the cloud. Gives us the capability to upload data up into the cloud, into Google's infrastructure, but then republish that data in a secure mechanism using authentication so that only the people we choose to can see it, but that data then is republished on our map only to our users, or the users that we've chosen to view that particular information. And then finally, sort of pulling all of that together is this product that Willbros has built called Integra. So really three main components there: Google Maps for Business, Google Maps Engine, and then finally Integra. So let's go ahead and just look here really quickly, take a quick tour of the UI. First of all, I've already shown you the ability to do searches through the text box up here. The search results view here, it's just a list of the search results when we perform searches. We have this concept of a site view, basically the idea to sort of the ability to change the context of the map given the type of user and the type of map that we want them to see. We show the user information here in the upper right, so you can always see who you're logged in as. The ability to zoom in and out, zoom to the extent of a particular site view. We'll see that here in just a moment. And then also some controls that we're already familiar with as far as Google is concerned here. The ability to zoom in and out, the street view, and then also the ability to switch between map or road maps and also imagery. So let's perform another search here and dig a little deeper into the interface. So this time around, I'm going to search just for crossings within the Cheyenne pipeline system, or the Cheyenne Interconnect pipeline system. So I just changed my search terms there. I'm going to go ahead and close the places results. I don't care to look at those at this moment. And I'm going to go ahead and expand my crossing results here. And so first of all that you'll see is as I pick on a particular crossing, it zooms to that location. So I'm basically walking the pipeline now across all of my crossings. You're noticing the map reload here pretty quickly. Obviously, I can switch between satellite view and road map view as well. So now we're looking at the satellite view, and we can see where we've got different creek crossings or highway crossings, those types of things. Let's go ahead and jump down here to this river crossing, and then finally this highway crossing that we have here. So now we've navigated our map basically by crossing information. You see here that we've just got some sort of a quick highlight about the crossing name and then also a station number. And you've also seen the map navigating relatively quickly and refreshing both the imagery or the road map as we navigate that map to each of these independent crossings. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this particular crossing location. So as we zoom in here, we see the imagery updating. We can also drag our street map guy that we're used to or street view guy that we're used to from Google here, and we can actually have a street view of this particular location as well. As we pan around and look at the street view, we'll also be able to see our pipeline markers here for this particular crossing. So again, just the ability to really familiarize with yourself with the area and have that situational awareness about any particular area along the pipeline system. Let's go ahead and turn off Street View here, and let's just kind of pan up the map. And again, to show that ability here, we've got a building here, and the ability to really familiarize yourself with this information. Let's say that you were in a situation where you needed to do some sort of HCA verification. Through the power of Google Maps for Business, we have all of this information that's being pulled in real time, all of the time, to help familiarize us with business locations and business names and phone numbers and so forth. So I can actually click on this particular link. I could give Wash Time Industries here a phone call and find out how many people are working there and how often they work there to help me further understand the environment around my pipeline system. Let's just switch the map back to the map view here, and let's do an additional search. And this time around, we're going to search for a particular crossing. So we're going to type in a U.S. highway instead of, and actually, let me change that search. I guess it's good that the search is fast because I didn't get it in the right way the first time. So I want to find U.S. highway crossings on my Cheyenne interconnect line. So here I found all of those highway crossings, and I'm going to navigate to a particular one. Again, once I'm to that particular location, I can turn on my street view, and we can see the environment around the pipeline at that location. But the other key thing that I can do now that I've navigated to a particular location is I can just simply click on the map, and you'll see the search results change here. So now instead of just showing me the crossing information that I had typed in the text box, now we're actually looking at proximity search information. So I clicked a location on the map, and it's returned to me everything that it knows about that location on the map with respect to our GIS, our pipeline GIS. So first of all, if we wanted to, we could look here at the pipe information, and we can see where we have heavy wall pipe, and I can highlight that particular record, and we can see where we have now heavy wall pipe at this particular location along the pipeline system. In addition, I see all the other attribution associated with this particular piece of pipe. So all of that attribution that we've worked so hard to collect and store inside of our GIS is now available to anyone, anywhere, on any device, and they can search either through proximity searching or also text searching within the GIS. Another key piece of information that's available now from this view is also the documentation that really completes that verifiable, traceable, and complete story. So I can click on a particular document here, and now that document is actually going to be opened up. Now what it's done is opened it in another tab, and you may notice this interface is actually Google Drive. So the documents themselves are actually being stored in Google Drive and linked to the features or the assets in our pipeline GIS, and that linking is built into the Google Drive environment. So now we can create documents in Google Drive, we can link them up to the assets in our pipeline GIS, and have really a complete picture about how that information got there. Let's go back and look at a couple of other documents here. I've also got test pressure information, so I can open up the test document for this particular location. Here's that test document as well. In preview mode, I can also download these documents from Google Drive and have them on my local machine if I needed them for offline access for some reason or another. We also have a document then linked also to the valve that was in this proximity. So I can pop open that valve document as well, and here's the material report for that particular valve. I want to go ahead and take a moment here to show one more thing within IntegraLink. I mentioned earlier this capability to do this idea of a site view or giving context to users so that they have what they need when they need it. So the first thing I'm going to do here is up in my site view bar, I'm going to switch from Willbros Midcon Energy, that's sort of the global view of our pipeline GIS, and I'm going to switch to Willbros Midcon Energy BD, or business development. So this is a site view that we built specifically for those business development guys in our business, really simplifying the interface, giving them less access to data, but also making it easier to understand. So here I switched my site view, and then I zoomed back out to the extent of the site view, which you can see now. And then the other thing that you may notice now at this point is that we've also got some purple lines here on the map. These purple lines represent competitor pipelines. So think in terms of going out and buying some REX tag data, that sort of information, and then adding that to your map as well. So it doesn't have to be just information that's in your GIS. It can be other GIS information that is available that you want to add to your map as well. So I've added in this REX tag information, and now I'm going to go ahead and perform another search. This time around, we're going to just search for something like Conoco. And so if I search for Conoco here now, we'll notice first of all that we didn't get any information back from our GIS. We did find some places here through the Places API. You may notice some of these addresses for those of you that are familiar with ConocoPhillips Pipeline Company. And then you'll also notice down here in the competitor pipe section, it's returned all of the records in competitor pipe that are Conoco pipeline. And so now you can see here some Conoco pipeline on the map that I've highlighted by simply selecting at the competitor pipe level. So let's say instead that we wanted to find all of the 24-inch pipe. Well, this time around, I'm just going to type in 24 and pipe. And when we do that, now you can see where we have information both from our GIS. So we have some 24-inch pipe on the Cheyenne interconnect line, but there's also some competitor pipe that happens to be 24-inch line. So if we clear those results and turn on these results instead, here's all of the competitor pipe that happens to be 24-inch pipe. So when you perform that search, we're searching all of the attribution of all of the GIS information that's been included in the map for this particular site view. You will have noticed previously that when I was performing a search, I was not searching that other information. It also, though, gives me the ability to do address searches. So let's first of all search KNEB. Let's turn on all of the KNEB pipe in the map. Let me clear the results to get rid of that other stuff. So here's all the KNEB pipe in the map, and then let's also navigate to my actual house. So I'm going to just type in my address here. And so here you can see where the KNEB pipeline is. We all know it's no longer KNEB anymore, but it used to be. This is obviously very old competitor pipe data. And you can also see where my house is. The key here is that we have a very familiar, a very fast user interface that even business development guys can use. You don't have to be a GIS guru to figure out how to use this map. It's just like using the Google Maps that you already have. I think that closes the things that I wanted to demonstrate. I'm going to hand it back over to April now to close us out with a couple of more slides.
So what you have is the greatest, largest consumer technology in the world, partnering with Willbros, the leading pipeline services provider in the world. And together, we are providing solutions to your everyday challenges. So now let me turn it back over to Colby for some Q&A.
Yes, great. Thank you, April. We do have a number of questions, and we have them coming in as I speak as well. So we'll go ahead and start answering questions. And if others want to submit questions, you may simply by using your meeting manager window there and submitting another question. I guess first and foremost, one of the questions I see here is what is the format of your GIS database? The answer is it can be whatever format you want it to be. Certainly we can deal with shapefiles. I wouldn't expect anybody is going to be using shapefiles. Certainly we are extremely familiar at Willbros with pipeline industry database standards. We probably have some of the foremost experts in the world, especially around pod spatial and APDM, and definitely pods relational as well. So as far as the format of the database is concerned, we've seen them all, we're used to them all, and we're willing to deal with all of them, obviously. Let's see here. There's another question here about how does document linking work, and can I link to documents on my own internal system, or do I have to link, or do I have to move my documents into the cloud? The answer to that question is yes. You can use either or both. Document linking is basically handled through deep linking of URLs. So we're just storing links, and then when somebody clicks on those links, opening up those particular documents. So if you have a document management system that allows accessibility through a web browser type of interface, then absolutely we could link to those documents as well that are in your on-premise document management system instead of in the cloud. Let's see here. We've got some questions around have we used this to do studies around PIRs, and then also can we be linked with one-call tickets? I think the important thing here is certainly all types of GIS information are included. I only had time to show a specific subset, but certainly we would support, if you had one-call information that you wanted to be showing on the map, absolutely it could be shown. If you wanted to use this GIS information for doing PR type of analysis, absolutely. Certainly, we understand that many operators are using technologies like Google Earth right now to help them with PIR types of studies, and this Google mapping interface is just another tool in the toolbox as well. Let's see here. Another question here, I guess your geodata needs to be in Web Mercator. Certainly, storing all of the information in a single projection is a huge benefit of not having to reproject data on the fly and thus incur that performance hit. That is not to say that the data has to be stored in Web Mercator. The document of record or the system of record can be in whatever you desire it to be, but certainly when that data is presented on the web map, it will be in Web Mercator. Let's see. Let's see here. How do you administer GIS data? Do you have to replicate your databases? It's a bit of a complex answer. I think that at this point it would be safe to say that is being done through systems. It's not being done by users clicking mouses, and through that we can be confident that your system can be of high quality and also up to date at the speed with which you require. How do you connect to Google Maps API to a shapefile or an SD geodatabase? Again, a very complex question, probably something that we should follow up with after the webinar here. Let's see here. Just quickly reading through some of these other questions as well. There's a question here about how do we update the information on the map? Can we look at recent information, or does it have to be old information? Absolutely, the expectation is that the map is always up to date with up-to-date mapping information that's being managed and maintained in a GIS. There's a question here about using ArcMap and converting to KML and so forth. I think probably an important takeaway would be to say this without reading the entire question in detail. The data that's stored in Google Maps engine is available to you both in Google Maps for Business. You can add it as a layer in Google Maps for Business. You can also add it as a layer in Google Earth. So what that means for you is, especially as a GIS person, as a pipeline operator, is that you're no longer left to be emailing around your KML files, and the minute that you send that email, the KML is out of date because you know that the GIS is being maintained and you can't control who's looking at that email you just sent and how often they're looking at it. Instead, what we can do is manage and maintain the GIS through our usual tools, publish that data through GME, and now give access to those users that want it in Google Earth. They can have it in Google Earth simply by signing into GME within Google Earth. So I think that's probably the important takeaway, is that data is in a much more enterprisey format rather than attachment to an email. Let's see here. Does this app allow to create line sheets? The app itself does not allow you to create line sheets, at least not at this point. It does allow you, obviously, to link to an alignment sheet through that document linking. It would just simply be another document that would be linked either to Google Drive or to a document management system, maybe on-premise. I think that covers most of the questions that we've had to this point. We will certainly review it at the end of the webinar, these questions, and make sure that we follow up individually with everybody so that each of their specific questions are answered if they didn't get answered during the presentation.
That concludes our questions and answers today. Thank you so much for joining our IntegraLink webinar. I'm April Anders, and if you have any further questions, please contact us at integrity@willbros.com.